All right, so we're back. So it's good to take a break, think about how it's looking. So my observations is this. First of all, I think we'll start over here. I think we can put a bit more green in here. I still feel like it's too white. Anyway, it's also looking very flat, and I think that's because the white, whereas like this yellow is very rich in this green. So I think that also like texturally, yeah, for some reason the white is like sort of absorbs the color, but then you sort of look at it over here and it doesn't. So then it makes me think maybe it's the, like thinking about this now, maybe it's the yellow and the cheaper yellow I use. You know, the Winsor Newton lemon yellow, when I should be using more of the, I just bought this recently, the Old Holland yellow. But I think that's probably more my issue is like, it's yellow. It sort of looks flat. You don't get that oilness. You don't get the reflection in it. And it sort of looks, yeah, it just looks flat. Especially over here, I think it's quite textured. There's quite a lot of light, a lot of warmth. Like a lot of things are happening. So could be something to do with the yellow. I don't think it's the white, come to think of it, because the white's good. But it's a bit whitish in color. But I feel it's because I used that lemon yellow initially. So I just need to get a bit more of this. I reckon like this color in there, just in here, and yeah, probably get that going. Secondly, I really don't like this patch of light blue. It really is quite disturbing for my vision. So we need to make this color, this sort of greeny blue color, and we need to like paint all in and paint over this. Also, in the picture, it's sort of like slopes here and then slopes in there, and this sort of section is a little bit further back. So maybe we put a bit of dark in this line and then slope some different things. So it'll be interesting to see how the picture changes, but it sort of slopes up into here. And then we have this line going, you know, we have this going here and that sort of sloping up to there. So I think it will create a bit more, yeah, it will sort of bring it out a little bit more and sort of connect it into this area here, which is going to be the next section that sort of feeds in. So as we keep working over this, I don't mind this lightness over here. In the image, it's a little bit different, but I like it. I think we can sort of, in between these mountains, we can sort of play with that later on. So then we keep moving across. I like these darkness. Now we want to match the darkness into sort of where we're seeing this white. So I think I need to get this dark color, which is probably going to be again on this color. But we can sort of bring that darkness into here, I feel. And then if we have that sort of slanting and then also in there, in here, and then maybe a little bit lower, it just looks a little bit lost in here. And I think we need to create like a nice, we sort of need to follow this contour of this mountain. And it doesn't, like, although the image is more like this, I think we just need to sort of make it a bit more like rock face, which is sort of like what we've sort of done with the rest of it. So you sort of just got to look to see what's working. And yeah, so it looks a little bit lost in there. I don't like this lightness section here, but again, we could sort of make that work and change it up. Also, this mountain, 5 and 8. The top of this mountain can be quite dark, so once we get this dark color mixed, 5 and 8 sort of sits here, and then the lightness of this mountain really needs to sit in here. So this needs to come up. Definitely starts at 7, goes to 8, goes all the way to 8 to 5. So it's in 8, but it needs to come up, sort of here, and then the mountain goes in. Yeah, so I think it's a bit of a rough plan in my head. So I like to look at the image when I'm in the shower. Well, like, before the shower, I think about it in the shower, because you never know just when those ideas are going to come. So we need to get this. I think we need to get quite a bit of colour. It's not much green from memory. I think a little bit of red. I think it was more the canary, the Ferrari red. Where is that? This one? Just get a bit more of that red down, because it is that browny. Okay, maybe that's enough. God, can't squeeze it through. Through a different area. Oof. Oh, there we go. That's what happens when you don't put lids on your paints. Okay, red. We've got some of that blue going. We're going to need some white. I've got the green already. And then the white. Just put down there. Alright, so let's start mixing. So again, we've got this green. I think we're going to use a lot of this dark blue. I reckon a good portion of that red. A good portion of this blue. Okay, so we're just going to mix our darkest dark colour. Alright, so it's very blue right now. As I like to say, I'm painting in the night. Light's not as good. Alright, so that's looking very purpley almost. So maybe some more green. No, it's quite hard to see, to be honest. This light's very bright. Okay, I'll just put this here. So it's quite dark, but I wonder, and it's very green. A touch more red. And get that purpley look. Now I wonder if we get some of that colour with the white. And so I'm going to keep the darkness, or that dark colour, by itself here. And I'm just going to mix this. It's this nice bluey, which is very close to what I would want actually here, to be honest. But I didn't quite do it. But that blue, I wonder if it's sort of what we're hoping for, to be honest. So let's just get after it. So you can really see how dark that is, but that's all right. So we want to, yes, I really don't, maybe we can, so I want to bring the mountain, like, it looks like there's got that distance, but we don't need that. So there's a lot of white I've sort of used in this. And it's interesting how it sort of changes as your painting progresses. You know, I think that would have been I thought it was a really good colour at the start. Is it too dark? Can always go lighter later on. But anyway, we want to really get rid of this. Okay, so we're getting rid of that, and we want to sort of streak it. I think we're going to have to get a different colour as well, maybe like a lighter. Yeah, I said I like that, but it sort of looks too good. Too perfect. So we're gonna okay. So now if I go on too dark is my fear. But it feels better. So what I might do is it's always good to. So I'm just going to grab some of that colour and mix more white in, and this is going to be our sort of on top colour. So hopefully that's, because it only needs to be subtle. Like, we don't need and so I think this is what's going to save us. So it is a lighter colour. Could even go lighter, to be honest. Similar to before, create the ridges, you know, using the contrast of the light and the dark sort of colours. And I think this is already looking better. Okay, so we've got the streakiness of the lines. Dare I put a bit more? You know, I like this sort of rockiness feel. It's not like a. All right, there we go. So that's really, I think that's sort of pretty good. I'm having to move over here because the light is not the best. And I think this is the beauty of oils. You get to be quite textured in your movements, in your brush strokes. All right, so I think just see how this is not quite fitting in, and so I just want to. All right, so we've got that sort of rock face going. Now we're going to include this. Now this is very white. We look down here and it's very white. So first things first, it's going to be a little bit scary, but we're going to sort of get this darkness back into here. And we can adjust later, but so it doesn't quite hit there, but maybe like I'm just going to sort of it almost has it a bit like this. All right, so it's interesting, even just doing that sort of creates a different feel, but I think this is why you've got to be ruthless. You can't get attached to certain pieces. So it's looking hilly. It's like, you know, I think we need to have this nice contrast. This mountain. Yeah, I really quite. So now I'm concerned about this sort of highlight. Like, do we need? We don't need that. It can actually become a low light now. All right, so that's really given us that. I feel like the back of the mountain feel. And then we've got to sort of work out now, because I've used a lot of white, so I'm gonna, this is our lighter light, a lighter dark I should say. Again, this is the edge of the painting, so it doesn't really matter, but like the line cuts off there, but it's always good. All right, so maybe we can do a little rock face. I think maybe in there. How's that look? Okay, so that gives us a bit of texture. I don't know what's going on here, so just to calm my mind, make it wow, that's very dark. Oof. I don't know if that was the right color. Okay, so that could be wrong, but anyway. Again, edge of the painting, so I'm unsure. That's definitely wrong, but anyway. We will cross that bridge when it dries. So I'm just going to get that sort of, yeah, there we go. How's that? That gives us a bit of movement. And if we can maybe just, all right. So I don't think I like this highlight here, so we'll just try to get rid of that one. And so it really, I think my demise was that whitish purple I used. There we go, that's looking, it really, yeah, maybe that again, that lemon yellow, I'm unsure. But, oh yeah, that's brought it to life so much more. So we need the darkness, and it's that rich dark. Now, because we need to come into this, all right, so I feel we've got too much going on. Too much yellow, so we're just going to come in Okay, so it's creating something. And now if we highlight into here, yep. Okay, so we're just gonna so I think it's a bit deceiving with the white that's been used, but I feel like now we're sort of cooking with gas. How's that? That gives us a bit of a random ridge, doesn't it? And I like how it sort of breaks up sometimes. Can we break it up completely? How's that? You know, it's just sort of, does that sort of give me a little bit of a, yeah, I feel like this is a bit more dark in here. So maybe, you know, I sort of did create that highlight the other day, but it's sort of nice seeing that darker side. All right, so a very different mountain, but I'm vibing it. So we've got our lines. This is looking good. So what we're going to do is, this is definitely more, how are we looking here? Sort of in there. Okay. Yeah, it really like sits in here sometimes. A bit like. Okay, and then this is going to like come up into it. Now I think this line's a little bit too sharp. So if I just soften that up there. Yeah, okay. So that's, I'm loving that. And then I think we can get rid of this. Okay. So this is just prepping us for the, yeah, all right. And then it's more like these lines here is more what we're sort of like wanting to see. The lines down is not quite giving us that contour of the mountain. So I think that's already made it feel like, obviously I haven't got it going, but I'm sure you're already feeling like it's being dragged, it's floating through there. It's rather than it being, I think it was a bit more upright. So I think what we're going to do, we're just going to get heaps of the dark paint on just where the water's going to be. Sort of gets quite dark, so I've got the dark just at the bottom. I'm just going to paint like a nice dark line. So it really has a beautiful, this is where it's good to always have different colours on the go. You want to get it thick on. Yeah, and I feel like we could use this colour later on over there. But while we're here, maybe we can So is this the right color? Yeah, so when I said I want it to come more down, this is what I meant. Okay, it's quite different. All right, that's given us something different to stare at. I actually don't think I need this line at all. And we can really push this mountain back. And then now we have and I think that's looking better. Again, we can really get dark just on the other side of the light. So I can see the light is there, the light's here. I'm going really... It's interesting just how much that's enough to sort of change what it is that we're looking at. So I'm just going to soften the top there. And then there's a bit more back here, which I'm just working out exactly where to do. How's that? And maybe because it sort of comes in. So I want to maybe just highlight this sort of ridge down here. And it's like, all right, wow, that's doing some stuff. Just gonna make that a little bit. All right, so even with that, I feel I've got paint all over my fingers. I feel like this has really added another layer now. And more depth, which is, at the end of the day, always a good thing. So can we go into that, I wonder? Yeah, how interesting is that? See if we can... So I don't like this one sort of juts out. This back one, this is sort of in this line and then that juts out. And I think, so maybe I'll use a bit of a lighter one. But I think we need to sort of flatten that out a bit. Shouldn't be so jutty. Okay, we may need to fix that up a little bit, but or like maybe we don't even need this light. Maybe that's what's confusing us. It should just be dark. It's better. It does sort of come out just in terms of how it... Yeah, it's a bit deceiving now. I think actually... I think it's this which is not working. This is sort of... too much for us. sort of trying to put some more dark in. You can always lighten it up. But I think it's almost like missing some mountain, like just there. Not like, is that enough to really give us that solid edge? It's definitely food for thought. I don't think we've achieved it. Yeah, it's a bit of a dark hole there. Alright, so anyway, I've done the damage, so we'll come back to that later. So that's looking like really nice, and then we're just going to go the shade lighter. I think this is going to really bring this piece together now. So now we've got proper, and I think this is the trap I sort of fell into earlier on, was like, you can really see this color here is a very white, it's a very white green. So it just makes things look flat, really. You know, it just doesn't quite have that feel of a beautiful, like, lush and what oils can be. And it's like, if you're trying to highlight with white, I think like you're going to run into that problem a little bit more. So what can we use? Well, we've got a lighter green here happening. But we're also going to bring in this yellow. So I'm sort of just, I think it's really going to come together. But it's good to get the darks on. Sometimes you can get too dark. But that's all right. We could be too dark, but we're just going to add more yellow. You can always add it later on. So, what can I see here? I think I can maybe, how's that looking in there? We've got a bit of movement, bit of a point. I was talking about those hard lines, but I'm unsure if I agree with all of them at this current point in time. Okay, so it's a completely different feel now. You know, even this in its most rudimentary state, I think it looks better, to be honest. We're just getting some highlights here. So if I look at it like, you know, this almost looks too yellow, like too bright. It's just too, we need to soften it. Just like when we have the white for the snow, like that bright yellow is where the sun is going to be at its strongest. So back here, it's like it's probably not going to be as strong. So we can sort of soften it, can't we? And I've just got a bit of oil, blue. And it's like, where are we drawing this in? And I think this line here is very important, and that's sort of in the background. So it's, you know, when I said I wanted more green, I think this is sort of what I'm looking at. It's like this is what I'm looking for, and what I'm liking to see. So I think I'm going to follow suit, you know, all over. But then it's like, I'll show you when I leave a little bit. And it's like, look where our eyes are drawing now. So it's, but that's exactly what I'm sort of, that is what I want. So, like, you can feel the light sort of just fading across. It's quite cool. in that respect. So I think it's maybe, how's that? Yeah, that's really nice. All right, so we've got this going. Now we need to get our yellow. I just love these fan brushes. I don't know if I should be using all of them, but I sort of ruin them. But anyway, what can you do? So now this green here, like, you know, I'm just trying to see, it goes green into yellow. So we've got a nice, this is too yellow, so like it's just, but I think it's gonna blend in with that green that I've just laid on. And it's like it's definitely too dark. So that was a pretty, I'm going a lighter shade. And these are just ones that I've got from yesterday. But that's going to go up here. It's you know, I want that to be sort of like we're not really. So that goes up into there, and then this one really, it comes like over here. So, you know, you've got the numbers and you can sort of go, oh, well, I think it should be like this, but at the end of the day, you know, I've got the proportions for the numbers to help me sort of gauge where it's going to be. We have a bit of a nice, I sort of like that yellow. It's like we're able to that's sort of a nice little highlight. So are we able to bring this in together? And that's looking like more of what I'm hoping for, to be honest, like that. Again, we've got more here. Yeah. And then we've okay, so we need, I think, quite a white yellow. Again, we're going to continue this on down into this. And just try to use what we've got. Use the lines that I've got going. So it's like this interesting highlight. You know, like can we create that highlight? It's going to be a bit more colourful than, like, is that more of what I'm after? You know, there's some elements, we're getting a bit of sun through here, that's the whiteness. So can I bring that into here now? And then as it sort of peters off into that. Yeah, so it goes up and up. We sort of have these little mountains here. You know, just going to feed into that and that lightness. But this is where you get to sort of build it in. feed that yellow. So I think I need to get, yeah, all right. So we're building. We're definitely building. I like this. So is this too yellow? And in comparison to that other side, it could be what we're after. I'm conscious of time. I've got to go. Interesting. All right, so just standing in this direction now, I'm seeing sort of this area here is too white. It's similar to what I was having an issue there. So I think I need to get rid of this whitish yellow that I've got it in this mountain. It's just not, I don't like it. And I suppose you could make it work if the whole picture was like that, but it's just, it's not. And I think you may lose some of the beautifulness of the oil and that beautiful pigmentation. There we go, get rid of all of that. You know, the white is the snow, so don't forget that. All right, I wonder if it's looking very dull, but better. It's the train. And I will admit it's a bit hard in this light to really see, but I feel like that's, yeah, okay. That's really pushed it in. Now what we're going to do, get some white. Got white there. Mix this. Okay. Yeah, it really needs to be a lot whiter. So I think this yellow is so pigmented. That we just need to just mix it on its own. Okay, so that's too white, so I'm going to get in the middle ground here. Perfect. Now, all right, so we want to be very particular. So I wonder how this looks. Oh yeah, that's good. So that sort of goes up like that, comes down. Trails through here. So we really want to get that on the top. This white, maybe not the right brush. All right, so I wonder if we're going to be delicate. There's no need to even try some of this. And we get that beautiful. Yeah, so it sort of sits in like that. And really, so this mountain has changed quite a lot, hasn't it? Okay. I'm quite enjoying this. That's yeah. See, I feel like this is where you start liking something, and it's like, all right, perfect. We need to just keep this going. So that's, and it's this green, which is what we're missing. So is it too much? I think we can maybe we got quite a lot here. All right, so we're creating some very interesting. I really love this part here. So, like, we don't need to do too much, but I think just to get to the edge of the painting. But we sort of have done some nice lines in there. I just want to. Maybe a bit too yellow. All right, so now we're getting to an exciting phase. And this is where we keep making adjustments. So, you know, this mountain, this sort of section is behind this section. So I want to really highlight that. How do we highlight that? Well, you need to make it more like the lights on it. And as I was bagging out the white, funnily enough, you need to use the white. And it's, you know, there's no rhyme or reason, but you can't be like too precise, because it's going to look, you know, I'm sort of liking that stroke. It's the randomness of the strokes which sort of fits everything together. You know, and the little highlights, and so I'm just using different colours, trying to get rid of that blue. I just don't think the blue's the right colour in here. It should be a green. Okay. Again, can we... Alright, so we're getting there. Now this sort of has a bit of a line, probably not like that, but similar Let's get into that. You know, I sort of growing fond of this. I think this is more of what I was after. And that is looking good. So it's just little adjustments. Like I'm seeing this, I want to sort of continue that on in a respect. Just see if I can sort of create those patterns where, like, you know, you're getting that feel of this mountain is really it's alive, really. Okay, see what I did there? That was a dark blue. Sort of depresses it into it. But now I've put the yellow, bit of highlight, and it really has popped it out now. So I'm curious. Really, there is a bit of sort of, and this is why it's good to have the oils with when they're wet, and that's probably why you saw me painting over a lot of it, because I've got that blue down, so I can get this sort of whitish yellow, and I can sort of mix it in, and now we're getting that beautiful. So now I'm looking here, and I think this is a little bit too depressed, but maybe if we just accentuate the top a little bit, some more highlights, and bring it down. You know, like, yeah, it's cool. That's looking very cool. So now this is almost too white again, and that's what I was enjoying at the start. So that's fine. But what we do is we adjust. So it's getting more of that similar colours. So now it's really starting to, yeah, that's looking like grass, looking like undulating hills. I'm happy with this. And if you had told me this at the start, that, you know, I'd be repainting this mountain, I'd probably say it was my best part, my best sort of, I was quite impressed. And this is where you've got to just back your instinct. I sort of knew it was, well, yeah, I really quite like that now. I knew it was wrong, just didn't quite feel right, but how wrong I wasn't too sure. Let's see, now I'm getting just more of that yellow that we've got, and I'm just bringing it down into here, more to just get rid of that blue. But we're really getting quite a nice sort of colour going here, and that is the beauty of painting with oils. They're there to be, you know, the colours are spectacular, So don't waste them, you know, highlighting with whites and sort of losing out on the beautifulness of these colours. I wonder if I get some low lights, just some, you know, I'm putting some of this dark yellow in, but again, because there's so much blue and this bluey green, it's really, now we're cooking. Okay, now I think we want to put some green in here. Not that it's going to be completely the same. Now maybe we can add some highlights. All right, so then now I'm looking at this section, and that's looking too white. So we're just going to paint that in, I think, a bit. I think it just speaks to like a lack of confidence in my colour when you're using the white, and you sort of can blend it, and you just like, yeah, I think back your colour knowledge, how that looks. But yeah, now we've got that warm, beautiful light, and looking at that, now I think I need to adjust this left side, because I think that is, it's a very warm, wow, it's crazy. So I think also, like, you've got the sun sort of hitting here. I think I need to darken that. You also got to be mindful of like what's the same, what's not. So this colour is looking very similar to this colour, which I think is taking away. Some of that, some of what we want. There's no need for that. Okay, so we've got the light. Doesn't have to be much because it's going to, I always say, it's going to be the edge of the painting. Yeah, that's good. Just a bit of the soft light. And I think what I really enjoy about this is we've got this light sort of coming in a bend. So I think we can sort of honour that line a little bit more. And it's just like help the eye make the connections. You know, and then we're going to start it again over here. Yeah, there's multiple sort of angles where the sun is really reaching. We go, yeah, it's looking, you know, that's what we're after. So I think that's a pretty good session. I just don't know if I've got enough time. 7:08. Now I've got to go. So this style is going to come over here. So this is too yellow. We're going to pull some green and I think it's going to be a simple adjustment, but something that's going to be quite nice. So anyway.